Boys and girls, today we're going to create a clay owl out of some clay, and it's going to look very similar to our clay owl from the Little Owl's Orange Scarf. What we're going to do, we're going to start, everybody's going to have a mat. The mat has the clay on it. This clay is called a slab. It is thin and it's kind of a rectangle. You're each going to get a template. A template is kind of like a pattern. And this is the shape that we want our clay to be. And this is going to be our owl. We are going to place this shape on our clay. Boys and girls, make sure that you place your shape so that all of your clay parts fit. Would our owl be complete if I did this? Would it be complete if I did this? So make sure, what about this? That looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is take my fingers and just kind of make sure it's on there. Just gently rub it. And then I'm going to hold one hand and I'm going to hold that clay template or that paper template on my clay. I'm going to take my tool here, and one edge is a little bit sharp, not too sharp, and then the other edge is round. And I'm just going to take this to the edge of the shape and I'm going to push it all the way down. And I'm going to hold, again, with my one hand I'm holding, and I'm going to trace all the way around the shape. Now when I'm tracing around the shape, boys and girls, I'm pushing this so it touches this mat. Okay, so you want to push it enough that you're going to go all the way through the clay down to the bottom. So I'm just going to hold on to the template, push it down, take my stick, push it down, go all the way around my cute owl. Go ahead and go this side, and you're just going to trace around that template. This ears are a little tricky, the ear tufts. Now what you can do, you can take this extra off, and if it doesn't come off easy, you just need to kind of pull it gently. And then we're going to use this extra clay for its eyes and its beak. So I'm going to take this off. I don't need this anymore. And now look, I have the exact shape that I want. Now if we look at our eyes here, what shape would be a good shape for our eyes? I think a circle would be good. So I'm just going to take a little piece of this, about like this, maybe a little smaller. And I'm going to make it into a ball. And I can do that by kind of squishing it. I can also kind of put it in the palms of my hand and kind of roll it. I'm gently pushing in as I'm turning it. Okay, so there's one. That looks a little too fat. I might need to flatten that. I'm going to go ahead and make the other ball first. So this is about the same size. I'm going to squish it into a ball, and then I'm going to roll it just like this. And then I'm going to lay it next to it. That's pretty close. But boys and girls, those are too big and fat. So what I need to do, I need to take this and I need to kind of squish it down here. I don't want to squish it here. I'm going to squish it kind of here. And I'm going to take both of those and kind of squish it so it's kind of like a thick cookie. And if it's got a little crack, just take your finger and rub it around. And that looks pretty good. Let me put that one back. Ooh, I like that. Now I'm going to take this one and do the same thing. I'm going to squish it a little flatter. Boys and girls, make sure you don't squish it like a potato chip. We don't want it that thin. We want it like a thick cookie. That's pretty good too. And there's a few little cracks, so I'm just going to take my finger and kind of rub it around. Please don't take your finger and your thumb and start squishing it, because then you're going to have all these hills and valleys. See how it's kind of straight across here and straight across here? You want it to be nice and even, so that's why you do it this way. I'm going to sit that here. That looks very good. The next thing I want to add is this cute, cute little beak. What shape do you think that might be? I think a triangle would be great. So I'm just going to get a little bit. I don't need very much. This is probably enough. And I'm going to roll that into a ball again. And you know what? That might be too much. I better get some of that off. and roll it into a ball again, and then I'm going to take my little ball and I'm going to pinch it down at the bottom. Watch how I do this. I'm going to just pinch it here and flatten the top. And now I've got kind of like an upside down triangle. I flatten the top and pinch the bottom. That looks pretty good. And that's going to go right in between, right here. Now, boys and girls, you have to do something special to make sure that these eyeballs and this beak stays on. If you don't do something special, it's going to fall off. It is called scratch attach. Can you say scratch attach? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use some clay glue. This is special glue, and at each table you have clay glue on one side and these old yucky toothbrushes, which is actually what we need. So you're going to scratch attach. You're going to dip your brush in the clay glue, give it a little tap, turn your eyeball over, and give it some scratches, just like this. And then you're going to put it where you want it, and you're going to kind of press, make sure it doesn't move. Then you're going to do the same thing for the other side. Flip it over, a little bit of clay glue, get the extra. You're going to just scratch it, just like that. And then you're going to add it where you want your eye. Kind of press it down gently. And then you're going to do the same thing for this cute little beak. And I'm just going to get a little clay glue, rub it on, scratch it, and find its spot. Do I want to put his beak down here? No, we're just going to stick it right here in between and going to squish. All right. Boys and girls, the next thing, Mrs. Bartos is going to come around with a special marker. And I'm going to use the lid of the marker to press into that to make sure that they stick. And it's also going to be able to give your clay animal some eyeballs. So it'll look kind of like this. Whoops. Oh, perfect, perfect, perfect. Now he's got some pupils. And that will help it stick, okay? The last thing we need to do is just give it a few little, on this edge here, and this edge here, we're just going to use that little sharp edge to just add a little bit of feathers. And I'm going to use a V. And I'm not pressing too hard. If you press too hard, you're going to go all the way through the clay and you're going to make a hole, and you don't want to make any holes. So gently, gently. So here's a little feathers on that side. And then I have some feathers on this side. And then for his belly, I'm going to do something a little different. So here's that. And then for this part of his belly, I'm just going to tap with my finger. Don't press hard, because if you press hard, you're going to get a hole. You're just getting little taps like this. And then what happens is it gives a really cool texture. And texture is the way something feels when you touch it. And see, that's going to be kind of bumpy. Can you kind of tell that a little bit? So just a little bit of fingers in there. Not too hard. You don't want to flatten it. You don't want a flat owl. There, that's pretty good. And the last thing you guys are going to do, if this part's a little tricky, you can raise your hand, but I've already wrote your names on these plates. So the last thing you're going to do, you're going to get a little plate, and we're going to gently lift this little guy off. And if you need help, I will help you. We're just going to take this, and we're going to put it here. And then we're going to take this and put it over by the window, back on the shelf by the window. And we're going to let it dry. Once we let it dry for about a week, Mrs. Bartos will put this in the kiln, and it will turn white and hard. And then we will paint it, and you will have your very own cute little owl. And we will add a scarf, but it doesn't have to be orange like his. I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure we do some scratch attach for those eyes and that beak. Thank you. Good job today.